Alright, yesterday we did direct variation. Today we're going to do inverse variation. And our learning target is I can model and solve problems using inverse variation. Very similar, just the operation has changed. So an inverse variation is a specific relationship in which there is a constant product. So when we say constant product, we're talking about x times y. So that's the only difference between yesterday and today. This constant of variation is variable k, just like yesterday. And then there's just a new formula. So inverse variation equations are written in the form y equals k divided by x. Alright, so here's the big thing to remember when doing inverse. Okay? Alright, so these are two different problems. First thing we're going to do is we're going to find k, and then we're going to use it to write the inverse variation equation. Okay. So when you are doing inverse, k is found by doing x times y. So I'm going to pick one coordinate point, doesn't matter which one. So 1 is my x, 20 is y, 1 times 20 is 20. So now I know that k is actually 20, so it's going to be 20 divided by x. That is going to be our inverse variation equation. We'll do the same thing over here. We're going to pick one point. Whenever we're doing inverse, k equals x times y. So x is negative 5, y is 2.4. I'll multiply those together and get negative 12. So my equation is going to be negative 12 divided by x. Alright, let's do some more. Just like yesterday, these are going to get progressively harder. Or maybe you don't think they're hard at all, which is awesome. Okay, so the first coordinate is going to be how we find k. So k equals, remember it's x times y, 12 times 14, which is 168. You heard my calculator because I don't trust my mental math at this point. So y is equal to 168 divided by x. Now we're going to use our second coordinate point to find what we're actually looking for. Alright, so this time we're trying to find y, knowing that x is negative 24. So all I have to do in my calculator is 168 divided by negative 24, and I get negative 7. So y is equal to negative 7. We're going to do the same thing over here. This first coordinate is how I'm going to find what k equals. K equals x times y, so 6 times negative 10, which is negative 60. Now I can write my inverse variation equation. And then I'm going to use the second coordinate to figure out what I'm actually finding. So this time, we're trying to find y, knowing that x is 3. So all I have to do is negative 60 divided by 3, which is negative 20. So y equals negative 20. Pretty easy after knowing direct variation. Okay, so just a little bit harder. So now, we just don't have coordinate points, we're given statements. We're going to use the statement in blue to figure out what k equals. K equals x times y. X is negative 6 when y is 9, so that's negative 54. So my equation is going to be y equals negative 54 divided by x. Now I'm going to use the part in orange, and it tells me I'm finding x when y is 3. So I'm going to replace y with 3. Alright, and here's where it gets tricky. Alright, so the only operation going on is dividing by x. The only way to get rid of dividing by x is to multiply both sides by x. So when I multiply the left side, I get 3x equals. When I multiply the right side, those x's are going to cancel out. The last thing I'm going to do to get rid of the 3 is divide both sides by 3. So x equals negative 18. Alright. So the part in blue is how I'm going to find the k, and then how, I pushed that orange, is how I'm going to find my k and then write my inverse variation equation. The part in orange is what I'm actually finding. So k k equals x times y. X is -3 when y is 16. So -48. So now I'm going to write my equation. Y equals -48 divided by x. So I'm going to find x when y is -6. Alright, the only thing going on is dividing by x, so I'm going to multiply by x to both sides. The left side becomes -6x. The right side, the x's cancel out, you're just left with -48. Last thing I'm going to do is divide by -6. I'm going to move up a little bit. So I get x is equal to +8. Okay. Alright, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try both of these. Use the part in blue to find the k value and to figure out the equation, and then use the part in orange to actually figure out what you're finding. So go ahead and try it. Pause the video. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's all my work. These are two different problems because one of them you're finding x, one of them you're finding y. So for the first one I got x equals -3. For the second one I got y equals -14. So what I want you to try to do is, if you missed it, I want you to find your mistake. If you can't figure it out, then you can ask me for help. But finding your mistake is how you learn. And you learn way more by finding it yourself than asking the teacher. But I'm always here to help you if you need me. Okay. So now let's do our favorite word problems. Yay! The helpful hint is the same as yesterday. When solving a direct or inverse variation word problem, underline the two things, assign the first thing as variable y and the second thing as variable x. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to figure out what's the two things. What are the two things you're comparing? So pause the video. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so the two things are time, and that's our first thing we get to, so that's going to be our y. Y is going to be time. And oven temp. So I'm just going to put temp. Alright, so we are finding the constant of variation. So if it takes 3 hours to bake a turkey at 300 degrees, find the constant. Remember that the constant is going to be equal to x times y. So k equals, x is my temperature, 300 degrees, times y is how long it takes, so 3 hours. So if I multiply those together, I get 900. So my constant is 900. Now I can write the inverse variation equation, 900 divided by x. Alright, this one, I want you to go ahead and find the constant of variation and write the inverse variation equation. Pause the video. If you get stuck, you can hit play and listen to me explain it. But try it in 1, 2, 3. The two things being compared are cost and number of people. So y is going to be cost, x is going to be number of people. To find the constant, I have to do x times y, so 7 times 42 is 294, which means that my inverse variation equation would be 294 divided by x. Alright, so let's make it a little bit harder, because that's what we do. First thing I want you to do, I want you to find the two things you're comparing. I want you to find the constant, and I want you to write the inverse variation equation. Pause the video and try it in 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm comparing two things, time and speed. K I found was 195, so my equation is 195 divided by x. Remember that the last part is going to be what you're actually finding. So how long, remember that's time, y, how long would it take an average speed of 78 miles per hour? So speed is x. I'm going to replace x with 78. And all I have to do is type that in my calculator. And I get 2.5. So it would take me 2.5 hours. Alright, let's try some more. I want you to find the constant and write the inverse variation equation. Pause the video and try it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's what we got, and we're trying to figure out how many laptops can be sold if the price of the laptop is $1,000. So, price is x. I'm going to replace that with 1,000. Up here, I have 5 million. Alright, so I'm just going to put that in my calculator, and I get 5,000. so I have to sell 5,000 laptops for the price to be $1,000. Okay. Alright, so I want you to try this one entirely. I want you to find the K, I want you to write the inverse equation, and then I want you to actually solve it. So try it, pause the video, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so you can see how I worked it out. If you got it wrong, I want you to find your mistake. If you can't find it, then ask me for help. But I think it's pretty straightforward. If the color coding helps you, then color code. If it doesn't, you don't have to. It's up to you. Let's try one more problem. I want you to try it all the way through. Make sure you read it, label it if it helps. Then you can always ask me for help. So try it in 1, 2, 3. Alright, so you should get 8. It takes 8 workers to complete a project in 15 days. Alright, so if you will go to Haiku and try your assignment, let me know if you have questions. I think this is pretty easy. It's a little scary with word problems always, but it's pretty straightforward. The process is the same every time. So remember that inverse variation is k divided by x, and whenever you want to find the k, it's just x times y. Alright, good luck.